In today's video, I'm going to start to tackle all the trees which have been pushed over the access road. I'm going to bring in the excavator, lift the trees and cut them into sections. In some of my previous videos you've seen me tackle the grass on the right hand side. I brought the brush cutter in and cleared all the long and overgrown grass and pulled all the branches out of the long grass. What I'm going to tackle now are all the trees which were pushed over the access road. As you can see here, pushed into piles. This runs for about 100 metres along the length of the access road, and to work my way through that I'm going to need to bring in an excavator, lifting all these branches into an area where I can easily cut them. So I hired in some help and we set about pulling all the logs from over the other side of the access road, bringing them into an area that was easier to access and cut them up, and then neatly stacking them as best we can. We methodically worked our way along the length of the access road. The idea here was to pull as many of these logs out of the brush and the undergrowth there, pull as many out as we could, cutting them up into lengths that I could manhandle. Because I had the excavator hired, what I didn't want to do was then just spend time bucking all these logs up into firewood lengths. So I focused on bringing all these logs out and cutting them to about 2 to 2.5 meters long. As you can see here, we made really good progress on the first day, pulling out all the big logs. As we dug into the pile of logs and started pulling some out, you started to soon realise that there was more and more logs underneath. The grass was sort of, in some areas, sort of 4 or 5 feet tall, and there was multiple trees and branches buried within it. But as you can see here, we managed to sort of methodically work our way through, create piles of small logs that would go through the log chipper, and then try and create some piles of the bigger stuff that would be turned into firewood. It's not easy, it's never going to be perfect, but yeah, we managed to do a pretty good job there, I think. I think these two photographs really show the volume of branches that need to get pulled out. As you can see, the tall mess in the background and then all the neat piles in the foreground. What you can see here is day 3. As you can see, we've made really good progress. A huge number of trees that have been pulled out from on the other side of the access road, making really good progress, cutting our way through all of these logs. The way we tackle this was a couple of us would go down the hill dragging either chains or straps and tie them around the trees, or especially the ones that were out of reach of the log grab on the excavator. Once we tied them around the trees and branches, the excavator would then drag them to a position where it could pick them up with a log grab and move them onto the access road. We'd do that for a complete area, complete section, let's say 20-30 meters, and then the excavator would actually pick them up whilst we were all on the access road, and we'd set about cutting them into lengths with the chainsaws. We did have one hairy moment with the excavator where he'd gone over the edge as far as he could go, and as he brought a branch in, it actually knocked the hydraulic hose off his dozer blade. Now that dozer blade was actually dug into the ground and stopping him sliding down the hill. Once he lost hydraulic fluid, the dozer blade sort of released its pressure on the ground and the excavator started sliding. So we had to quickly secure that by putting the log grab into the ground and set about repairing the hydraulic hose. And at the end of the fourth day, we'd managed to work our way along the access road to the end of the pile of trees. All the big trees, as you can see in the pictures, had been pulled and were stacked neatly above the access road. All the bits and pieces, the smaller branches, they were all sort of pulled very close to the access road for easy access. And I'd already started working my way down the access road, putting all the small stuff through the wood chipper. Putting the trees on the upside of the access road, whilst it may feel like it was moving trees from one side to the other, was quite a big difference. What that allowed me to do was just work my way through those without the excavator, booking them to length so that they were firewood length, booking them to length, and they could then roll down naturally onto the access road and I could drop them into the trailer, which is a lot easier than having to book them to length on the downhill side and then having to carry them up the hill, even though it may only be 5 or 10 meters, but carrying them up the hill and putting them in a trailer. What we were also able to do is start the first of many wood piles. As you can see here, we cut these down to approximately the same length, each of these logs, and stacked them as neatly as we could, lifting them off the floor by sacrificing a few branches. These will stay there until I'm ready to cut these to length and use for firewood. The first section of the access road was by far the worst. There were more trees in that section than anywhere else on the access road. Once I'd got over halfway along, what I started doing was actually cutting the logs, cutting them to length and dropping them into the small trailer that I've got, and then taking all those logs down to the bottom of Slippery Hill and starting another huge wood pile down there. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and put any comments in the comments section below. And stay tuned because there's lots more videos to come, showing as I work my way through this land, trying to restore it back to its former glory before the fires came through in 2014.